Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, welcome to the Grid Championship series brought to you by Metal State, RaceFace and fueled by MTN. My name is Stephen Koenig and joining me in the combox is the world's slowest alien, also known as Janneman Price. Janneman, welcome to Spa and welcome to our final round of the championship. Can you believe it?
Good evening, Stephen. Yes, you've said it. It's the final round. It's the championship decider. And we're going to go racing tonight. I think it's going to be an awesome close race. Championship by no means decided, is it?
No, not at all. And we've seen some close racing. We've seen some interesting guys going and doing all sorts of methods to try and one-up their competition. We're heading into qualifying at the moment, but you've got the results at the moment. But before we head to the results, I want to talk about one thing that we are doing a little bit different to tonight because we are celebrating. Why not? MTN has gone and stepped up the game and actually brought prizes on the line. Yes, you heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. We have got hampers, Funko Pop, keyboard, mouse, hat, and a Funko keyring, because why not? I mean, that's awesome. It's awesome to have prizes, especially heading into the weekend. And all you have to do is answer a simple question that we're going to ask, the giveaway questions, during the race. And, well, that's enough of that. Janneman, take us through where people are in the championship standings.
Well, before I continue, are we allowed to enter? I need a kind of like a new keyboard.
You see, I would say yes, but you know the answers to the question, so it's kind of cheating.
So let's move on to the championship standings. Heading it out, Morgan McCall, 281 points, but followed closely in second place by Cody Sherrod on 276 points, and then Daniel Rowe, third place, 213 points. And Stephen tied in fourth place with him. Bernard Barkhuizen also 230 points. Then rounding out our top five, Ryan Ottens on 200 points. So, what I'm trying to say, this championship is by no means done. It can go down to the wire between Cody Sherrod and Morgan McCall tonight.
That's absolutely correct. It is going to be absolutely mad. And not only that we're broadcasting out and showing off to the world, showing off the amazing South African talent we got here, it's also going to be a proper fight to the end. It's come down to the wire. It's all about getting the make or break. And the guys are really stepping up their game, really hoping to get a little bit quicker, a little bit more pace, and take the win. Cody Sherrod, though, is back. He's ready to go and try and battle out for that first place. And, well, with a grid of 20 cars at the moment, it is pretty stacked. But let's also talk about the circuit that we're on as we jump on board to our dear friend Christian de Bloy and take a look from his view as we look around Spa. Legendary circuit, home of the Spa 24-hour. It is also one of the trickier circuits, I would have to say, because managing your tires is a definite need here. Considering they've got 2 pit stops to play with, they've got to try and figure out what's going to be ideal, when are they going to change tires, if they're going to change tires, and fuel consumption. As we know, Spa is a high-speed circuit. It is all about keeping your foot flat and trusting mechanical grip and aero grip to carry you out through the likes of Eau Rouge, and also making your way through the back end of the circuit, where you've just got to trust in everything that you've got. That right foot has to be hammered. And as we make our way through the hairpin, staring down the hill, we start to get an idea through the right-hander of the beautiful Eau Rouge. This isn't the new Eau Rouge that's been opened up. This is the infamous Eau Rouge that has, well, it's gotten its title from doing all sorts of wrong things recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this section that he's going through down the Camel Straight, we saw him go through Eau Rouge up to Radion, Steve, I did a little bit of spying last night. I watched a couple of guys, and there were guys on the absolute ragged edge going through Oruz. They trying to carry as little downforce as possible on these cars, and I have to say, sometimes things can go wrong around there.
And that's it. And also another little corner for everyone that wants to know, a little bit of trivia. The corner that Christian's heading up to now is called No Name. It hasn't got a name. And the reason for that is no one could go and say they've got a name for it. No one could agree on a name. So it's called No Name. So it's pretty much like No Name brand. There we go, sorted. It's a no name left-hander. But these drivers are going to have to work incredibly hard. As you can see, the circuit is challenging. Lots of technical corners to try and get around. Lots of things to consider is not to go and exceed track limits. You heard me right, track limits. You get 3 warnings before you're going to have Jim on the comm saying you got a drive-through penalty. And trust me, Spa has got one of the longest pit lanes in Assetto Corsa Competizione and in the world. They're using the Enduro pit, which means that it's using all 50 stalls of the original pits, and you've got to go up through Eau Rouge before you can even exit the pit lane, which is a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, I think it's just under 20 kilometers long. That entry was there on your right hand side as we saw Christian go through there. Now he's going to go all the way around the track, and if we focus on Steve, we can let all the viewers know where actually the pit exit is, because at this stage he's still driving along the whole of the pit lane. It goes through turn 1, and then here's the second part of the pit lane that he's going past now, and then we're going to see him go through Eau Rouge, and when he comes up to Radion now, there's the pit exit on.
There's a car exiting.
Yeah, so I mean, that's how long it took Christian to drive it at full speed. Now imagine doing that at a leisurely pace of 70 odd kilometers an hour.
Oh man, not even 70. It's actually sitting at 40 kilometers to 50 kilometers an hour, and it is just a nightmare. But you can't sit on the pit limiter the whole time, because you actually need to let off the gas for turn 1, because it's part of the pit lane. Very true. I also want to check out a driver that wasn't in the last race is back, Kieran Patterson, currently second in qualifying, hoping to maximize his points, but also trying to run away from Christian Deploy, who's actually in first place. Bernard Barkhuizen over here in the Aston Martin, the KSR, is in third place. Eric Lacuna in the Audi that has really been stomping around, recently joined the series. Well, I say recently, he missed the first and second race, came in and really stole the show in his pace, which is fantastic to see, and coming into the Grid Championship hoping to go for that massive prize pool of 10,000 Rand, brought to you by Metal State, MTN and RaceFace. I mean, that's just insane to think about, and honestly, without the likes of these three, well, we wouldn't be sitting here this evening seeing some amazing talent duke it out for the final race. They've been going for 7 rounds. This is the 8th round, 8th and final. And to also chuck it in, ladies and gentlemen, this will be their final round for 2022 in terms of league racing here in RaceFace, which, I mean, all prizes are on the line. You really want to go into a Christmas time being a 2022 champion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but Steve, I just want to touch on something. We've got 5 minutes, 40 seconds left of qualifying, and we only have 13 valid times posted so far. So that should give you an idea of how difficult this track actually is and how much track limits come into play. As we see Ryan Otten's run a little bit wide there. That's one of the places on the track where you can pick up track limits very easily. Then the next part, as he goes through here, is this flat out right-hander. The guys tend to run out wide. We see him go through there now, clipping the curb a little bit. I think that was just within the limits. So track limits definitely coming into play tonight, Stephen.
No, it's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And also just for noticing, as he clipped the curb, he jacked the car up ever so slightly, taking a bit of traction off from the front wheel. And that's so very easy to do, but as you go around, it also damages those tires. It starts taking little chunks out of it, and it starts wearing out. So you guys got to also bear in mind and keep that an idea, that the guys have to realize that's going to hurt their tires. You have to be so cautious doing moves like that. So let's go through. Cody Sherritt in first place, going and joining with his teammate Kieran Patterson behind him. Christian Deploy in third. Ryan Ottens in fourth. Fifth place, Bernard Barkhuizen. Ethan Lacuna in sixth. Sujin Pillay in seventh. Bega Krobler in eighth. Tristan de Norbrugge in ninth. 10th place is Eric Kirstein. Going down, 11th place, Justin Lotus, followed by Daniel De Villiers, Dean Kabasa, Andre Serradio, Connor Alexander, Kurt Glashkin, Ruan van der Westhuizen, Jason McGregor, Bernard King, Grant Sebastian, rounding out our 20th place. 21st, Morgan McCall, just getting in. He wasn't there, he just logged in, and something tells me that it is cutting it really fine, because he has got one lap essentially to put in a dominating time and try and catch up to Cody Sherritt, Kieran Patterson, Christian Deploy, and Ryan Ottens. That's where you got to be so cautious.
Yeah, let's be honest, Morgan hasn't had the best of luck of late when it came to take technical difficulties, and as you said, it looks like he just made it in. Hopefully he will be able to get that flying lap in that, will move him from starting off the back of the grid.
It's gonna be close. It's gonna be properly close. And just to go on about it, we're gonna have to see how it all works out. It's gonna be, all I can say, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. But we cannot forget that to you guys at home just joining us for the Grid Championship Series final round number 8, brought to you by Metal State RaceFace and fueled by MTN, we are giving a giveaway. 3 hampers to hand out, ladies and gentlemen, and something you do not want to miss as it gets you ready for the weekend. Also, if you are interested, there is some fantastic deals going on with MTN at the moment that's not to be missed, especially in this time where data is king. Well, you want to go and take a look at some of their magnificent deals for any budget.
Absolutely, I'm sure there's some awesome deals going around, and maybe I should get my hands on one or two of them. What do you think?
Well, I can tell you, for a person that goes through a lot of data, a little bit of help would not be a problem.
I abuse data.
YouTube is my friend. I do not have any others. Well, take a look. We've got Tristan de Norbrugge out on the circuit for RDSA Spirit Invest, and the RDSA drivers have really been putting in a fantastic amount of time chatting to Tristan, and they've been working on the car quite a bit to get it dialed in, hoping to get him further up the field. I think he is going to be one to keep an eye out for. He has been getting better and better, stronger and stronger in every race. He's currently in 6th place right behind this man here, Ryan Ottens. He is on a bit of a hot charge, but not too far. You take a look at their times. Ryan Ottens did a fastest time of a 2:17.5. Tristan de Norbrugge, 2:17.6. And that is incredibly close. But if you go through Cody Sherritt in first place, fastest lap time, 2:16.4. Kieran Patterson, 2:16.8. Christian Deploy, 2:17.1. Bernard Barkhuizen, 2:17.2. Bego Krobler, 2:17.4. Ryan Ottens, 2:17.5. Tristan de Norbrugge, 2:17.6. Then we start getting a little bit finer. Ethan Lacuna, 2:17.63. Sujin Pillay, 2 minutes 17.64 as his quickest lap time. That's from first to ninth. The guys are so close, and honestly, I'm looking at those times. They're doing what I do in 2 laps. What takes me 1 lap, they already lapped me twice. I could put it like that. The pace is incredible this evening.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit hectic. But as you said, extremely close together. And in these dying moments of qualifying, I mean, anything can still happen. And the grid can still be shuffled around. But what this tells me is, I think we're in for kind of a close race tonight. I mean, there's not a lot between these cars. looking out in the front, the top 3, even the top 5, but then from position 6 or position 7 right through to 11, Steve, there's nothing in between.
No, not at all. At the moment, Cody Scherer trying to better his time is not up on his delta. Kieran Pedersen is not going to go any faster. He's looking to hold that second place, which is good. Means that they can get a little bit of a lockout on the front row, which is great, especially heading into Eau Rouge. Cody Scherer not bettering his time. Christian Deploy trying to get a little bit more pace out of his car, and he's really doing everything he can. I think he chopped a wheel off of there. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to get a little bit quicker. Bego Krobler has called it. He is happy with his 5th position at the moment. Ryan Ottens, 0.2 up, 0.3 up on his time. Ethan Lacuna, 0.5 seconds up, 0.6 into the bus stop. This can push him up quite. A big jump there. Absolutely fantastic.
I mean, that bus stop chicane can make or break you. I mean, it tends to be a place where I lose a lot of time, but it can actually be a place where you gain a lot of time, and it looks like, you know, he made a serious amount of time through there. Right, with qualifying officially over, we're waiting for the last couple of guys to finish their flying laps. Currently looking at Ryan Ottens. He's still on a flying lap, looking to better his time. Sticking it in behind Surgeon Pillay, trying to pick up that slipstream. I don't know if it's... Oh, no. Ryan's ran wide there, so unfortunately he will not be bettering his time at this moment.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, ready to rock and roll, and it is going to be exciting. Cody Sherrod in first place, Kieran Patterson in second, third place, Christian Deploy, Jason McGregor in fourth place, fifth place, Ethan Lacuna, Bernard Barkhuizen in sixth, Bego Krobler in seventh, eighth, Ryan Ottens, ninth, Tristan de Norbrigger, 10th, Sujin Perle, Eric Kirstein in 11th, Bernard King in 12th, 13th place, Justin Lotus, Andre Serradio in 14th, 15th is Grant Sebastian, Dean Cabasa in 16th, 17th, Ruan van der Westhuizen in 18th, Daniel de Villiers, Connor Alexander in 19th, 20th, Kurt Gloshkin, Morgan McCall, 21st, not where he wants to be, and rounding out the field in 22nd place is Tini Nkube, also just making it in time.
Absolutely. Remember, Morgan McCall, he's our championship leader, currently 21st position, and his main rival, Cody Sherrod, on pole. So Morgan has got some serious catching up to do through the course of this race.
It's going to be insane, and honestly, I think it's going to be a close one. But that being said, I think we can start looking at dropping our first question giveaway to everyone, brought to you by MTN. This is a hamper, one of 3 we're going to be handing out. But gentlemen, you've got the first question. What is it going to be?
Just before the race start, let's go with which car is your absolute favorite and give us a reason why.
Alright, we're getting ready to go. Lined up, Kieran Patterson, Cody Sherrod first and second, locking out the field with the likes of Jason McGregor of Hybrid Academy and Christian Deploy of ATK lined up behind them as they look ready to go, making their way down the hill. They're going to start just before Eau Rouge. Tyres cold, and green, we are racing for the final time of the Grid Championship. And take a look, Kieran giving a little bit of room, trying to go and stop Christian Deploy from getting by, managing to lock it down. Jason McGregor now looking to try go around the outside. Kieran going to the middle of the circuit, trying to defend Cody Sherritt, and Bernard Barkhuizen also in the tow, trying to pull himself along. Bago looks to be moving along as well, trying to get a little bit more pace as they get hard on the brakes and make their way through. It does look like Jason McGregor is losing out to Bernard Barkhuizen, who's just able to get his nose in and start putting the power down. Christian Deploy, who is trying now to go a little bit more defensive to hold back Bernard Barkhuizen, waiting for his teammate to move through. Grant Sebastian and Connor Alexander also side by side as they battle their way through the field, having a great time. No major problems heading through Eau Rouge, where we originally thought there may be a problem.
Yeah, I think, it shows the true caliber of these guys. I mean, holding it together, lap 1, cold tires. I mean, they only had a short formation lap, so those tires were not up to heat or up to temperature by any means. I mean, Steve, well done to everybody, but this is lap 1, extremely close racing. We see Cody Sherritt opening up a little bit of a gap there in the front, but it's still very early days. Kieran Patterson, and followed closely behind by Christian Deploy, Bernard Barkhuizen, and the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's honestly a train. Everyone just keeping it together. And I think at this point you're going to start trying to figure out when you need to just start tapping off, start realizing, okay, I'm going to start conserving my tires and my fuel a little bit, but you don't want to lose track of the front. It's so easy to lose out from it. Bernard Barkhuizen out braking himself a million miles, and that's not going to help him. That's into the bus stop trying to rejoin, but he has lost out to Jason McGregor, who's gotten by. Bago Krobler is hard up against him, and take a look at Bago just easily having a good time. Ryan Otten's also getting involved as they're making their way through. And it looks like Bago Krobler getting twisted around, unfortunately, and that's just dropped him in the worst possible point of the circuit, and not going to help his race anytime soon. Tristan de Norbriger and Bernard Barkhuizen tried going side by side into Eau Rouge, but then reality kicked in that maybe the circuit's getting a little bit smaller. Let's back it off and concentrate on a longer race.
Yeah, I know you were talking about Bago Krobler. I mean, he spun around turn 1. He was actually basically stuck there until the whole field came by, and that's essentially what happened. Just looking back, Morgan McCall still in 21st position. He was actually up to 18th at one point during the first lap, but he picked up a little bit of a lazy slide, which dropped him back to 21st position again.
Guys having to be so cautious, and it's very easy to do. Ruben van der Westhuizen and trying to go on Grant Sebastian, seeing Grant move though to go after Tini and Kube, and deciding he just can't go for it as yet as they put the power back on. We head up to the top. Jason McGregor going after Christian Deploy, tried looking on the inside, just can't make it stick. Remember, Jason McGregor is not high in the championship to go and win it, but he is still in it to go and get some valuable points that is needed. So it's all on the line for every single one of these drivers as they fight their way through. It is going to be crazy, but at which point, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you this one, since you're the quicker of the two commentators, when do you start trying to calm down slightly and start trying to figure out when to pit, considering we just heard Jim saying that the pit window's open?
Well, most of these guys will have a set pit strategy and most probably a plan B, C, D, and E should anything go wrong during the start of the race. So you would pretty much be set if everything is happening the way it should for, say, somebody like the front runners, Cody, Kieran, Christian. You'll be still be looking at your mark, and I would love to see how much fuel these guys are carrying with them. Unfortunately, we can't. That will give you a greater idea. Are the guys running a bit lighter? Are some of them running heavier? Which might give you an indication of when they're going to pit. But for somebody like, say, for instance, Bago Krobler, as we see McCall and was it Van der Westhuizen with a drive-through?
Van der Westhuizen with a drive-through, Morgan McCall into the pits, so I think he's getting an early stop done now that the pit window is open. It's gonna be
Now,
close though. So
can you remember there was a previous race where Morgan McCall also had to start further back? He also did this early pit stop to get himself into clear air, which will allow him to run quicker. Now remember, Spa is a very long track. I mean, they do 2 minutes 17 odd lap times. So if you do a short enough pit stop, you can get yourself out in clear air, away from the front running pack, and start basically hot lapping and try and make up positions that way.
it's very true. It's things to consider. And also for consideration, guys, don't forget we are having that giveaway. So the question is, Yadaman,
Well, I'm going to say it again. Which car is your absolute favorite? And you need to give us at least a reason why. I've got my answer.
I know I can tell you my answer, and that is going to be a very old GT3 car known as the BMW Z4. That was my favorite, brute force V8, much like the Mercedes that we're seeing in front chasing down Kieran Patterson, but also behaved like a mid-engine. It also had sufficient amounts. It was actually not the most powerful car, but it was built to outlast the competition. That would be my personal favorite, and why I think it's one of the top GT3s. Second to that would be the McLaren MP12-C, which was the previous iteration before this McLaren that Kieran Patterson and Cody are sharing.
And we all know why.
It spits flames, it goes fast, and it looks even better. And it doesn't look like a BMW with funny looking teeth on it. Much like if we go to Tristan's car, you can see that front grille of the BMW.
Yeah, well, mine is a lot simpler. It's simply put the Porsche. Why? Because it's Herbie, and Herbie was my car that I raced in the RaceFace GT3 Pro Series.
And that would be this car over here, Kurt Larschken, and is one of the drivers along with Ruben van der Westhuizen going and driving it. Take a look, Sujin Pillay into the pits as well. He going for an early pit stop. Justin Lotus in the pits for his pit stop. Couple of the guys going and doing some very early pit stops, while the battle for second place is still raging on. 0.3 of a second, tailing Kieran Patterson. Christian is doing everything he can to try and figure out how can he get past this mid-engine. In theory, if we have to work in theory, the McLaren has got better rotation than Christian Deploy, but doesn't like the curves. Christian Deploy has got a front engine and does like the curves. Kieran Patterson is at the moment being a little bit of a brick wall to Christian Deploy and allowing this man to pull a substantial gap, nearly 2 seconds, well 2.3 seconds over second place, Kieran Patterson, who is holding back Christian Deploy. Then 2 seconds behind Christian Deploy is Jason McGregor, followed by Ryan Ottens, the two Hybrid Academy drivers, but are in sub-teams. Ryan Ottens in Hybrid Academy Invictus and Jason McGregor in Hybrid Academy Gamma. Then chased down by Bernard Barkhuizen in 6th place with Tristan de Norberger in 7th. 8th place is Ethan Lacuna. 9th, Andres Herradio. And 10th, Daniel de Villiers, who's getting chased down by Dean Kubasa, but 0.6 of a second behind. You can see how the battles are starting to open up, guys. Are starting to figure out when things are going to work and how is it going to work. And we not even 10 minutes into the race. We're exactly 11 minutes into the race at the moment, and it's still hot on the cards. You can see Kieran going to the middle of the circuit, forcing the likes of Christian Deploy to try and go around. Does go for a cutback though. Do you think he's going to have enough momentum as they head side by side down the start finish line, getting a little bit close to one another, now heading into Eau Rouge, not backing out of it. It's close. Whoa.
Wow.
And
there's the contact.
Yeah, Christian Deploy unfortunately coming across the nose of Kieran Patterson, and there's nothing much you can do. Coming off the throttle is going to hurt, but that did slow them up, and Jason McGregor capitalized on it, has taken second place away from Kieran Patterson, and now is on a hot charge to try and pull away Bernard Barkhuizen, clamoring at the point, going after Ryan Ottens, and it is going to be absolutely stomping as the guys look to get a little bit more drive as they make their way around the circuit. Problem is, you can't lift through Eau Rouge, otherwise the tail steps out. What can you do?
It's even, yeah, passes through Eau Rouge is always a risky business. And I'm having a look at Christian deploy on my screen, and he's got sufficient front end damage on that car. He's limping it back to the pits. You know, unfortunately, he came off second best. Personally, I would have waited, stuck behind the car until after Eau Rouge, until we get onto that camel straight where I've got a straight to play with and a little bit more room than what you have going through Eau Rouge.
It's definitely a difficult call, and I know the guys are going to be taking a look at it, trying to see what could have been done, how it could have been done. But I think it might have just been a bit of a racing incident. Guys got so close to one another, no one wanted to give. Something had to give at some point, unfortunately. And as we see Grant Sebastian going after Tini and Kube, doing everything he can. Daniel De Villiers just ahead of them, starting to open up a little bit of a gap as they put the power on. Kieran Patterson still tried going after Jason McGregor, but I think he might have just got a little bit of a little bit of damage to the front end of his car. That's not going to help him through it, because he was stuck in a very awkward line up through Eau Rouge on the marbles, on the dirty stuff, and had to clip the curb. That's taking some life out of the tyres that's desperately needed, as Christian deploy into the pits and falling down the ladder hugely at the moment.
I mean, this is going to cost him a bit of time. See, now, this was the thing that I spoke about earlier. They had their set pit stop strategies, and I think for Christian now, it's very much going to be a case of going to a plan B or a plan C, and now making the most out of the situation to get rid of one pit stop at least. And now you can decide to either fuel the car heavy to go longer. I think Christian will maybe have to change tires after his little excursion. So now things start to change again.
The whole race starts to go and develop, and where is it going to end up? Well, we tried guessing before. I can tell you how it ended. We
Not
don't
good?
know. We don't know. Unfortunately, we don't know, because strategies change on the fly, and now that we haven't even got to the 20-minute mark, the guys are having to try and work out what's going to be the most effective, what's going to be the right idea. It's going to be a very, very tight one, and I'm not quite sure how the guys are going to try and figure out what's going to be done, but Ryan Ottens has figured out what to be done, and he is chasing down the likes of Kieran Patterson, who is now watching his mirrors like a hawk, because the Aston Martin ASMR going and chasing him down. The AMR really putting in a huge amount of work here. Ryan Ottens going and making sure to put in enough pressure to hopefully cause Kieran Patterson to brake, and then he can catch up to his fellow Hybrid Academy driver. But I don't think it's going to be so easily done, because while he was busy fighting, this man over here started catching up. Bernard Barkhuizen in 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and we all know Bernard Barkhuizen can be lightningly quick. Now, Stephen, I want to throw out something there, and it's just a thought that I had. Do you think that Kieran might be helping out Cody a little bit tonight?
Okay,
that's a thought.
two things I want to check out on that one. One, I knew I could smell smoke. You were thinking. Two, I think he is. Realistically, if you can help your teammates out, you can both better your chances in a championship. That being said, he has got a difficult one. He's been put a little bit further down, and at this moment, he can try and go for an earlier pit stop than his teammates and jump him. Just remember, he also needs to maximize points. Got a little bit further down the field, Bernard King going after Connor Alexander in the McLaren. Same thing, Aston Martin versus McLaren. Also, had a chat to him from the Kinetic Sim Racing group, or the KSR group, they have a chat to one another of what can they do. One of the comments was, I put all my teammates, get a fresh set of tires on and can push harder. Or when I see the mistakes of they starting or here when they start having problems, I know when things start falling off and can react instead of adapt.
Yeah.
That's what I put out there.
Well, at least you got some inside information, because my inside informant sent me a WhatsApp just before the race and said, sorry, he's got nothing for me tonight because he hit the gym too hard.
And the wall.
Well, that's giving it away.
Just putting it out there, but take a look at this as we see Kieran Patterson trying to go around the outside of Jason McGregor. Ryan Otten's now drag racing him, and looks like a little bit of a box in as Jason McGregor didn't give much room for Kieran Patterson to move around, and that has allowed Ryan Ottens to try and get a little bit closer, but I think it's actually killed his drive a little bit.
A little bit of contact.
Yeah, I think there was honestly a little bit of bump draft.
Here we go again.
But
Too wide to go Rouge. Oh no, they're getting out of it. No, wise move.
I think it was very, very brave. But Jason McGregor getting a little bit of a bump draft from Kieran Patterson. Ryan Otten's tried to box him in, but I don't think it worked out too well. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, has gotten into the fight. He's looking to put a little bit of pressure on as they make their way through. And you can see how Jason McGregor is fighting tooth and nail at this point to try and hold his position. It is turning into a monstrous fight. Kieran Patterson going out a little bit wider to hold Ryan Ottens at bay. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to get involved in the fight as well as he looks to put his nose in on the inside, going over the curb even, just to try and get some sort of drive out of the car and hopefully get some more movement going on. But it is super, super close between all of them. It has turned into a four-way battle. Yes, you heard me right. A four-way battle for second place, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, we got 2 minutes before we've even had 20 minutes done of the race. And if this is what the race is going to be, well, I don't think I have enough water on hand to try and sort myself out, because the racing is coming at you fast and fierce, because these cars are fueled by MTN, and you are watching the Grid Championship Series brought to you by Metal State and RaceFace. I mean, it's incredible stuff happening for second place right now, and it's touch and go. One mistake from any of these drivers, as you see Kieran trying to go on the outside and Jason McGregor just sliding the car ever so slightly to try and stop him. Oh, I mean, one mistake, that's all it takes, and you're going to fall down 3 positions easily.
Yeah, and Kieran desperately wants to get past Jason. I mean, we saw him flashing his lights, just letting him know he is there. Spa tends to be one of those tracks where you just need to use a little bit of patience to make your pass stick. Oh, you see Barkhuizen all over Ryan Otten, so these 4 are by no means done.
But take a look who's catching up in the background. Tristan de Norbrigger, now that these guys are slowing each other up to doing 2:19s. Yes, 2:19s. Tristan Norbrigger in his last lap, 2:18.6, is catching up. Ethan Lacuna is also catching up. It is turning into a roughhouse race, and we may start seeing 5 cars coming into play very quickly, as we see Kieran Patterson trying to go on the outside. Jason McGregor holding that inside line. Is it going to be okay? Going up, tries to cut back on him, getting a little bit more drive. Jason McGregor just holding back Kieran Patterson at this point. Ryan Otten's dealing with Bernard Barkhuizen, who is putting a huge amount of pressure on at the moment. Ethan Lacuna, though, jumping up a position. Oh no. Please tell me that I have seen the worst not happen. I don't see the likes of Kieran Patterson. I think he's just disappeared, ladies and gentlemen. Cody Sheridan first place, Jason McGregor in first place, Ryan Ottens in third. I don't see a McLaren. I really don't see a McLaren.
All of a sudden gone.
Honestly, my heart has sunk. We now lost that four-way battle. We still got a fantastic battle between Ryan Artens and Bernard Barkes, and Jason McGregor must be taking the sweat off his brow at the moment because, whew, you know, he's managed to get a little bit of breathing room. Yeah. But it's going to be an interesting one. And talking about an interesting one, and for a turn of events, we've got to also hand out our first giveaway for the MTN prizes. It's a Funko Pop keyboard, mouse, hat, and a little Funko Pop keyring. And for anyone that is a Funko Pop collector, well, you know how much these things can go up to. I've seen some Funkos heading up to about $3,000, but I mean, brand new mouse, brand new keyboard, gaming mouse and keyboard with RGB lit, which is always fantastic to have, so you can see what's going on. Gentlemen, you've got the winner.
Well, Steve, unfortunately from the Twitch side, I don't have anything. Have you got anything on YouTube for us?
On YouTube, we have got our first winner going and jumping in is Priceless Lucky, going and saying the Aston Martin. It's stable with great traction. It also has the power over the curbs as well as drag down the straights. It also looks good, great aero, and is always light on fuel and maneuvers easily. So
light on fuel?
Yep, light on fuel. So Priceless Lucky, well done. You have won the giveaway. Congratulations. Absolutely wicked stuff. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 more to give away as well, and you have to just keep an eye out, or an ear out, for the giveaway question as we jump back to our race. It seems like Ryan Otten's starting to put a little bit more space between himself and Bernard Barkhazen at the moment. A little bit further down though, the guys have opened up and starting to run away from one another. Nothing much happening other than Bernard King a little bit slower as he's battling to get that Aston Martin going around. Looks a little bit worse for wear on the front, so something tells me he's gone and taken some damage. Colin Alexander pulling away in 11th place, but from 10th place, Bago Crawler, Tini and Kube catching up to Grant Sebastian, Dean Kabasa in 7th place. 6th place is Andre Saradia, Ethan Lacuna in 5th. 4th place, Bernard Barkhazen, Ryan Ottens in 3rd, Jason McGregor in 2nd, and 1st place at the moment, Cody Sherritt.
You know, at this stage, we can see Cody slowly but surely, you know, pulling away from McGregor. So, look, there's just under an hour to go, so it's still way too early to call. And I just want to say, don't throw out Morgan McCall in 14th place. He's done 1 pit stop. Just behind him is Christian Deploy. So those 2 80k drivers, I wouldn't count them out just yet. They might still come back into play later on in the race.
I have to fully agree with that one. It's going to be a one to keep an eye out for. And if we take a look, Ron van der Vesthuizen in 13th place has done a drive-through penalty. But first to the pit stops, Morgan McCall, 2nd Christian Deploy, Justin Lotus, Kirk Gleishkin, Daniel de Villiers, and the likes of Tristan de Norbreger in 19th place. So Tristan also going and getting into the pits and getting it done and dusted. So they've gone for an earlier pit stop, hoping that it's going to be a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, Steve, we see those 2 80k Mercs running in formation. It's not the first time we've seen them do it, and you know, pulling each other along. So I'm gonna just keep an eye on those 2. Yes, I know Christian had an unfortunate accident, but I think they're gonna come back into play later on in the race. And I don't think Cody Sherritt, Jason McGregor, Ryan Ottens, Barkhazen, and even Lacuna can rest at this stage. They need to keep their heads down and keep focusing and just keep on pushing.
It's all about putting the pressure down, and much like the battle going on here between Dean Kabasa and Grant Sebastian, they've been very close. Bago Krobler, who's in 10th place. Let's talk about Bago right now, chasing after Tini and Kube. And Kube loves to go defend, knowing his teammate is a little bit ahead of him in a bit of a battle by himself. knowing Bago Crawler spun, hurt his tyres in turn 1. How much life has those tyres got for Bago Crawler as he's got to go and try and battle his way around the circuit? Gonna be a interesting one to keep an eye out for, and you can see Bago constantly putting the pressure on the back of Nkube, but just hasn't got enough just yet to get past the BMW. Both of these cars are similar, both of them are very reliable, both of them are stable, but the OG Aston Martin has proven its mettle all season long. The BMW has had its strengths and severe weaknesses, as we've seen. But take a look, Bago trying to go up on the inside, hard on the brakes. Is it going to be enough? And it looks like easily getting by and out braking. Just talking about, having some faults. And the BM, unfortunately, having one of those faults. And I would have to see its braking capability just isn't quite there if you haven't got it 100% set up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the brake balance can play a huge role, but I would love to see if Nkube can maybe come back at Bago, at some point in time. Maybe the BMW can be or is stronger at another part of the track. Who knows?
Well, take a look at, we talked about running in formation. We got the Hybrid Academy drivers running in formation. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, is not going to have that, is trying to get the drive on the little Honda NSX, who is putting in a huge amount of effort at the moment. The Honda, not a very loved car. I don't understand why. It's a beautiful looking car. It understeers like no tomorrow if you get the setup wrong. But
and four-wheel slides all over the place.
But it has proven with a bit of setup work, the car can outbrake other vehicles. So, do you think the change with letting Ryan Otten's go, Jason McGregor now dropping to 3rd place, Bernard Barkhuizen has to now battle against a car that is superior through corners, but doesn't seem to have the straight line capability, now having to get a little bit on the back foot for a front engine versus mid engine?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That Aston, looks all over the place of that little Honda of McGregor, and I think Barkhuizen is weaving from side to side. Almost he's going to go on the outside, which would now become the inside. That is a truly spectacular pass he made just there.
Honestly, brave, very brave. But Jason McGregor trying to come back, and Barkhuizen just leaning onto the middle of the circuit, trying to stop. And take a look, Jason McGregor returning the favour. Returning the favour on Bernard Barkhuizen, saying, if you can do it, I can do it better. And these two are slugging it out. Now it's up the hill. Who's going to get Eau Rouge? Who's going to get the drive? It does look like the little Honda has got a little bit of straight line. But you can see Bernard just leaning, looks to the inside, seeing whether he's close enough to go through and maybe try and outbrake him. It might happen. We've seen moves happen here. No, a little bit too far back, is not going to try. But Bernard has really been on form at the moment. Also moving left to right. We saw him doing that earlier on in the race, trying to get a little bit more momentum out of the car. And man, it's absolutely insane at the moment. The drivers are really putting on a fantastic form. This is a race. There's no other way of saying it.
No, absolutely. And it does. We've got a spinner there in the background.
I'm trying to see. I don't know who that might be.
Quickly looking at the timing sheets, I can't really see anybody dropping way back at the moment.
It might have been. I wonder if it was Daniel de Villiers.
It did look like a dark colored vehicle.
It was a little bit spun around. That's for certain. It wasn't facing the flow of the circuit.
It was pointing the wrong direction. Need we say more?
And ladies and gentlemen, just to also point out that MTN does have some magnificent deals on at the moment. Go to the MTN website, like what you're currently seeing on screen. If you want to upgrade your phone, which is always a good idea, treat yourself to a Christmas present. Why not?
I need a new phone.
Yeah, those old Nokias that fall from space, I think have met their time.
Yeah, no, mine is on its way out. But having a look at Vega Grobler now getting, he's getting very racy tonight here and just making a move there. Was it on Grant Sebastian?
Yeah, that was Grant Sebastian of the Heartbreak Motorsport, and sporting the time trial colours for the BMW, and really showing off what it can do, which is absolutely great, and really putting in a magnificent amount of work. But take a look a little bit further back here. Morgan McCall behind Christian Deploy, 13th and 14th place, still running in formation. Morgan now following Christian and getting pulled along. Do you think there might have been a chat there of, I've got slightly more pace, let me through?
No, most certainly. I mean, these two have worked beautifully together in the past, and Christian was sitting behind Morgan, so might have been an intentional switch around where Christian said to Morgan, listen, I can pull you along, as you said, to try and get us further up into the top positions of the field.
Just take a look, Dean Tapasso getting past Andre Serradio of Project Vapor. Andre really doing everything he can, and I just want to talk about Andre Serradio. He actually was racing a varied amount of vehicles, varied sims, really trying to hone. Project Vapor really been doing a little bit of setup work, and I know for a fact he has got a crew chief in his ears telling him exactly what's happening out on the circuit and exactly what the car's doing around. They have been playing around with some software to try and get an understanding, watching what the shocks are doing, watching what the car's doing, and learning where the tires drop-off point is, and all that information is going to be coming through and changing. But I also want to point out, down in 17th place, Daniel De Villiers, who's trying to get himself going. He's in 18th place, completed all his pit stops. Just ahead of him, Justin Lotus, Justin Lotus still needs pit. Kurt Glaschken, I do apologise, has also done all his pit stops. So these two Porsches have done all their pit stops. Rowan van der Westhuizen coming into the pits for his pit stop. It's at the 47-minute mark, which we've seen being the lucky point for a lot of drivers on their pit stops. So, do you think we're going to start seeing guys taking the pit stop, get it out the way, and get going once again?
Absolutely. I mean, you said it before, between this 40-minute mark, that's where a lot of the guys that divide their race into two, as we see Bernard Barkhuizen also into the pits. Now, what I mean divided by two, for the guys that decide to take tires, I mean, for me personally, no better way than to split it right down the middle and get a new set of boots on for the second half of the race.
That's it. And I just, while the guys are coming in for the pits and obviously getting that MTN fuel put into their car, let's go and give you guys a chance once again to one of our two giveaways. Now, we already handed out our first giveaway. This pack is filled with goodies, and honestly, something really exciting to have before Christmas time and before the weekend. Just putting it out there, right time to do it. And the giveaway question is, Janneman.
Oh, so you're putting me on the spot here.
You always say you're fast enough.
I'll have to quickly think. Let's go with this. What is the worst track to race on in ACC?
Difficult one. I'm not 100% sure what I will describe as the worst circuit. I would have to say, bear in mind, this circuit, I believe, is a parking lot with lines painted on it. Okay? My personal.
I know which one you're going for.
It's one we raced on earlier in the season, and we saw guys having the problem like what I usually have, too much aero on the long straight. I call it Paul Ricard. That's my worst. That is my worst circuit.
I'm going to go for another one.
You better. You can't steal my answers.
Snetterton. GT3 car is just too quick for that track. It's not made for a GT3 car.
You just don't know how to drive properly. But
I do know how to drive, but I'm sticking to Snetterton. GT3 cars are just too quick for it.
Well, taking a look at the guys really putting in a huge amount of effort. Andre Serradio getting ahead, but Ethan Lacuna into the pits, really struggling at the moment, and really trying to get himself midway through pit stop, get it done, and hopefully climb up the ladder, drop down to 10th place. So it's going to be a tough one. Bego Krobler is in 6th place, going after Andre Serradio in 5th place. And Dean Cabasa in 4th place is currently in a little bit of a difficult situation. 1.5 seconds behind. He's got a dice going on. 22.8 seconds though is Jason McGregor in 3rd place. So there's nothing ahead of him to chase. It is all having to try and play catch up at this point. I'm not 100% sure that's going to go all too well.
No, there's a lot of catching up to be done. But looking out in front, Cody has yet again increased that lead just a little bit, now almost 12 seconds. So he's slowly but surely pulling away a little bit. I'm sure Ryan Ottens by no means has given up yet on the chase, but it's starting to become a little bit more difficult to catch Cody.
It is turning into a lot of the gaps are now starting to open up quite a bit. The guys are starting to stretch their legs and get a little bit more going, and I don't know, it's going to be a tough one. But for the guys that just missed out on the question, what is the worst circuit to drive on in ACC? And that is for our second giveaway we're giving the evening, because we already handed out our first one with well, an answer I think a lot of drivers at the moment will be agreeing on. Bego Krobler trying to get a little bit more drive on Andre Serradio, trying to utilize that toe, but once again I'm leaning on how much life is left in those tires, because he did have a big spin. Goes up on the inside into the bus stop, hard on the brakes, dives up, makes it stick. Andre Serradio going around the outside trying to come back at him, but just never had enough grunt to deal with the Aston Martin AMR. Now starting to pull away. It does look like Andre Serradio hasn't given up, lines up behind him, trying to go a bit harder on the brakes, second guesses to go for the pass. So take a look though, Jason McGregor and Ryan Ottens into the pits. They have now released the battle. Cody Sherritt in the front has not pitted. Dean Cabasa is going and making his way through, and he's going to be moving up into second place and getting ahead of the likes of Ryan Ottens and Jason McGregor. But what does it say for this man here? Your strategy. Where's it going to go? What's the plan? What's it going to be to try and figure out to put a gap? Bear in mind, an average pit stop from driving in, stopping
takes
in the
2
box.
hours.
Other than 2 hours, true. Drive in, park the car, and get out is 75 to 77 seconds. That is a long time. And to put that amount of gap between yourself and the competition, it's a tall order to ask for. And at the moment, he has got a 37.9 second gap. It still isn't 70.
No, it's not even halfway there. Well, it's almost halfway there if you go to 75 second gap. So I don't know. We've seen Cody go very deep in the past before he even makes his pit stop. I don't know if you remember. He can go just past the hour mark. That would make it less than 20 minutes left in the race before he even makes his pit stop. I think sometimes, and I'm purely speculating, Cody is driving on how the car feels. He feels the thing up at the start of the race, and then he drives it until it does not drive nicely anymore.
Oh, darling. You're exciting. True, very true. As you see Dean Cabasa coming into the pits, he's opting to let Bego Krobler go and Andre Serradio to try and get his pit stop done. And the guys starting to come through. But first of the guys that have done a pit stop, Ethan Lacuna in 8th place. I think he might have pitted at just the right time at this point. Behind him, Morgan McCall, followed by Ryan Ottens, Bernard Barkhuizen, Jason McGregor, Justin Lotus, Connor Alexander, and Christian Deploy, who is in the pit yet again and has now completed all his pit stops. So he is the first, and as you heard from Jim, we're halfway through. And well, ladies and gentlemen, now it starts getting a little bit more exciting, because how much have you got left in the tank? While we're talking about it though, let's go and give away, because we like giving away here at the Grid Championship Series, sponsored by Metal State and RaceFace. And this prize is brought to you by MTN, with some fabulous prizes and some fabulous deals. We're going to have our winner, and gentlemen, who is our winner for the prize of the worst circuit here in ACC to go and race around?
Well, Stephen, I'll have to hand it over to you again.
Well, taking a look, the winner, and well, seems to have a lot of people agreeing with him on how it works. Also, going and giving a bit of an explanation goes to Jordan Sherritt, saying that it's Snetterton, probably the most fun to race on, although hot lapping is fun.
So I got it right.
So, Jordan Sherritt, congratulations! You have scored your prize.
Does that mean I? Does that mean no? Does that mean I share?
When you get faster than Jordan Sherritt, then you can.
That's not gonna happen. Okay, moving on, shall we?
So congratulations, Jordan Sherritt, on your win for the MTN prize, and absolutely fantastic one. Also giving a reason why to go and not race, well, not go hot lapping on the circuit. So now moving back into our race, we could see that the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen chasing down Ryan Ottens, really trying to force a mistake, and these two have met up and come to blows with one another more than one occasion, with some great racing between them. I don't know how it's all going to work, but I also want to check out here. Cody Sherritt is a little bit further down. He has pitted. He's also set the fastest lap time of a 2:17.9, which is a little bit slower than his qualifying time of a 2:16. Ethan Lacuna, though, in 6th place, has once again jumped up a position, telling me he pits at the right time. Talking about pits, diving into it, I don't think he's going to hold his position there. I think the guys are a little bit too close, but he's hoping that he can maybe just push it once more. So It's going to be an interesting one.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see where he falters out compared to the likes of Christian Deploy, which at this stage is our leader of drivers that have completed both pit stops. So that should give us a bit of an idea of how the rest of the field is sitting. And I know we're going to get it horribly wrong yet again, because we always do, but at least we sound clever.
Well, you know, sometimes we just heap together in a situation. Well, talking about it, we've got 36 minutes left of the race, and in this we're going to have our final question going out to everyone. And yes, this is our final giveaway question. Excitement! It's crazy! What? Go nuts! And it's one that's a very tricky one. While we take a look at Bernard Barkhuizen and Ryan Ottens, let's actually just keep an eye on these two as they go side by side. Hard onto the brakes. It doesn't look like Ryan Ottens has got a give. Goes a little bit on the dirt. Bernard Barkhuizen going and venturing over the curbs and having to back off ever so slightly. But let's get to our final question of the evening. Drum roll, please. Yonaman, give us the final question for the MTN giveaway here at the Grid Championship, brought to you by Metal State and RaceFace.
It's a question that I'm afraid to ask, but I'll go. What is your personal best time around Spa?
8 minutes and 30 seconds, because I only had one gear. There we go. Got mine. Absolutely amazing.
I think I've done it in I think it was the high 140s. Oh yeah, that was not a GT3 car, never mind.
No, that was a slightly more powerful car, I think. But if we take a look, now this is a very good one. This is our pro tier, okay, like the creme de la creme, the professional running. And we've seen some great racing. Here at Spa, guys are averaging in a race about 219, 220. Some breaking into the 218s and dropping a little bit further down. We see Conor Alexander getting all kinds of squirmy, getting behind Grant Sebastian. And take a look at Bernard Barkhuizen and Ryan Ottens. So right about 2 minutes 19, 2 minutes 20 seems to be the sweet spot in a race.
I can actually... No, you can finish.
If I have to go with a time that I set, it's nowhere close to these guys. Honestly, I'm too afraid to say it because it's probably, if I had to say my time, they would have to invent a class specially designed for Stephen.
Now, I actually had a look before the race, what my personal best around Spa was, and believe it or not, it was still in the Bentley, the old boat. And it was a 218.272.
Okay, I just want to hold the brakes here. Hold the brakes. We're currently watching Ryan Ottens and Bernard Barkhuizen race. Okay, bear that in mind. Why am I seeing Ryan Ottens in the chat? Who is texting and driving?
That just shows you the pure skill of these guys.
Texting and driving. Just saying, ladies and gentlemen. Texting and driving, do not do it unless you're a professional. Even then, do not do it. Just putting it out there. Something's a bit funny here. But we're keeping an eye on this battle. It is turning into an absolute cracker of a fight. Also here, Andre Serradio and Dean Cabasa. Andre Serradio at one point was leading the race. He did have a good run. Dean Cabasa been making his way through into the top 10, sneaking his way to the top. Cody Sherritt back in first place. Morgan McCall in second. Third place, Ryan Ottens, followed by Bernard Barkhuizen and Jason McGregor in fifth. Sixth place, Nkube Bagel Krobler in seventh. Eighth place, Andre Serradio, getting chased down by Dean Cabasa in ninth place. And 10th place is Conor Alexander, who started very late in the championship. Very late. Was getting lapped by the field. Okay, now I'm going to just point this out here because I think it's a great progression and it really shows how these pro drivers have actually worked with the newer drivers to get them up to pace. Conor Alexander was getting lapped. He is now into the top 10 in this race and putting a respectable time. His last lap time was a 221.2, but his best lap time was a 219.2, so getting closer to that 18 second mark, that 218.
But it's absolutely awesome to see how the drivers progress throughout the season. You mentioned that Conor, at the beginning of the season, he was, let's call it, struggling a bit, but now, he's developed himself over the course of 7 races, this being the 8th, into a top 10 driver, can we say?
It's really been a interesting one, and honestly, I've got to take my hat off to us. You see Andre Serradio getting clean airs, Dean Cabasa coming into the pits. Also, let's talk about, now we're getting into the stages of the race of net first place. The Audi of Ethan Vicuna net first at the moment, followed by Christian Deploy, and they've got Rim van der Vestays in the middle of them, still needs to pit. Grant Sebastian completed all his pit stop. Justin Lotus completed all his pit stop. And Daniel De Villiers completed all his pit stop. Kurt Glaskin has completed all his pit stops as well. So that's where the guys are at the moment. We have seen some retirements, unfortunately, during the race, but that is racing. Unfortunately, you do land up with retirements, whether your gearbox decides to blow up, whether you run out of fuel. In sim racing, disconnects. We have had pits running over pedals. We've had pits unplugging.
Spiders.
We've had spiders earlier
We
in the
actually
season.
had spiders. Yeah.
Yes, earlier in the season, where one of the cars lost it into the wall because a spider that was on the pedal suddenly disappeared up the leg. Just want to point that out there. We have seen some crazy things this season, and it has really been a phenomenal phenomenal one. I think a little bit of love needs to go out to the guys at the back. The two Porsches, the two lonely Porsches, 2 of 3. And that's Kurt Kloshkin and Daniel de Villiers, who are in a almighty battle with one another, not giving an inch. And, well, for anyone that loves gaming, we've got Team Blue versus Team Red at the moment, if you look at it. Because these two are not going to give an inch. And it's all about who's got a little bit more power underneath the hood, who's going to give it a little bit more. Team Blue, Team Red. For anyone that gets that reference, congratulations. You grew up in a good time.
Yeah, it's. I'm still gonna call the Porsche my favorite car in ACC, purely because it's Herbie. You can't go wrong with Herbie.
It's a glorified Beetle in some circumstances. It's also won a lot of endurance racing. It's done very well over the course of endurance racing. It's also in the GTE category, it's done absolutely phenomenal, along with the Aston Martin. The BMW is also coming back with a resurgence. Porsche has also shown that they can make GT cars, cup cars, customer race cars. They can make whatever they feel like and produce championship winning cars. I give it that. But they definitely not the easiest to drive. Very twitchy. They fast, very twitchy and very difficult to set up. So the guys managing to get these incredible lap times, well done to you. Honestly, well done.
Yeah, it's a love-hate car. For me, it's a totally love relationship. I love the Porsche. The thing I actually wanted to say, Stephen, yes, Porsche do make cars that you can go buy from Porsche and then just crash after a couple of laps on the track and just, split the chassis from the engine.
Yep, that is very true. We have seen it in South Africa, where guys have completely smashed up a car, and the customer service in South Africa for Porsche has been rather great. That's because they based here. And these two are really putting on a great performance. But we're going to go back up to first place, because let's talk about the championship for a minute here. Let's take a little bit of a second. Cody Sherritt is in first place, maximizing his points, but also taking a look, and this was a little bit of a notification coming from our informants, saying that if Cody wins, he still wins the championship. And that's one of the things that's coming up, is that he's possibly going to take the championship away from Morgan McCall, but not by a lot.
Well, yeah. Morgan started in 21st. He's up to 2nd position. That says something. That's a great comeback drive, and I've got a suspicion it has something to do with that very early pit stop he made, allowing him to get into some clearer air. But he's got almost 14.2 seconds to make up at this stage.
That is very, very true, and the guys have got to be very aware of these things, and the pressure starts to mount. I need to make this work, and considering that you've got one pit stop to play with, it's gonna be a rough one. I don't know how to. It's gotten to the point of, when do you plan to pit? Because it may change up your entire race. Let's put it this way. Cody is 14.5 seconds ahead of Morgan McCall. Morgan is 3.6 seconds ahead of Ryan Ottens. 2 seconds behind Ryan Ottens is Bernard Barkhuizen. 2.5 seconds is Jason McGregor. 23 seconds behind is Bego Krobler. 12 seconds behind him is Andre Serradio. Bernard King is 18.5 seconds, and Ethan Lacuna 20.5. But Ethan has completed all of his pit stops.
I think Ethan sitting in 9th position, completing all his pit stops, that's not a bad place to be.
No, not at all. I think it's going to be a proper race for them, and it's going to be one to keep an eye out for, while keeping an eye on the battle. Dean Cabasa, Grant Sebastian, round number 2 for the BMs, and they're looking to slug it out. Dean Cabasa goes to the inside, goes to the middle. Grant Sebastian pulling out, going around the outside, hard on the brakes. You can see just doing everything he can, but Dean Cabasa has got him closed off, making sure it's not going to happen as they battle their way through. And while we're going and taking a look, remember, we do have our Battle of the Giveaway, the final giveaway for the evening, brought to you by MTN. And that is a brilliant hamper, one to go for. And the question is, what is your personal best lap time around Spa? Now that is always a tricky one to try and figure out, because, well, I think I'm old enough to have bad memory, and I say I did 30 seconds around this circuit. I stand by that.
You got bad memory. How must I feel then?
You got to drive around the circuit earlier. Come now. You know what your time is.
I still drove, my friend, I still drove on the classic Spa.
The classic Spa.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not so refined. But what I can talk about here at the Grid Championship Series, brought to you by Metal State, RaceFace, and powered by MTN, pro tier drivers having a good one. But one who's not having a good one is currently 14th place. Connor Alexander drive through and, well, he's gone.
He drive through something there.
He investigated the wall, and unfortunately that has dropped him down as these two come by, Nkube and Justin Lotus, who are slugging it out amongst one another. And, well, they've managed to score a position from a very, very distraught McLaren at this point.
Yeah, it's never nice to pick up damage. You know, you lose so much time not only pitting and trying to repair that damage, but limping it back to the pits, or even sometimes having to tow it back to the pits. Now, you know, unfortunately for Connor, he's had a brilliant race up to this point, and unfortunately it went wrong for him.
It went wrong. It went horribly wrong. And in one of the corners that you can definitely battle with, that left-hand sweep, you're going at such a pace, you keeping your foot planted, and all it takes is one thing to go just slightly wrong. Tail to step out. Maybe you lift off a little bit. And the car just decides that it's going to visit the spectators on the sidelines. One person who cannot have this battle, that will have that problem, is Justin Lotus, who is so close behind Nkube and just narrowly missing out at this point to go for that position change. It is going to be a rough one as they slug it out and biting tooth and nail. Then we've got a little bit further up Grant Sebastian and Dean Cabasa. So we've got Nkube and Justin Lotus, Dean Cabasa, Grant Sebastian, all in a bit of a battle. It does look like the teammates just can't get a break at this point. That's where things are starting to sit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just quickly scanning through the leaderboard or the timing table at this stage, and I can't see Connor Alexander on it anymore.
It looks like he might have just unfortunately retired. Maybe the impact was due to a mechanical failure, and it happens. It does happen.
Yeah, we've seen our fair share of mechanical failures during the course of the season. As you say, Stephen, it's something that happens. It's something that happens in real racing as well. We just have a little bit of different mechanics going on.
A little bit of zip ties, cable ties, it won't hurt anyone. We'll talk about that. Working his way through the traffic, Cody Sherritt in first place, Morgan McCall in second, Ryan Ottens, followed by Bernard Barkes and Jason McGregor in fifth, sixth place, Bago Krobler, Andre Soradio in seventh, Ethan Lacuna up into eighth place, then we've got Christian Deploy, who's up into ninth place, Bernard King, who's gone into the pits. He's going to be falling down. That's given 10th place to Ruan van der Westhuizen in the Porsche as he goes to battle his way through. Dean Cabasa coming by. He's getting chased down by Grant Sebastian. And with Bernard King still making his way through, he is now lost out to Nkube and Justin Lotus, who make their way through. Bernard King only just now getting out of the pits after that long excursion. I think far too long for his liking. The two BMs of Dean Cabasa and Grant Sebastian not giving up side-by-side moments and really giving each other, well, not much room to play with, but just enough to keep it out the wall. Having a great battle for 11th and 12th position. A little bit further up, though, we're seeing a bit of a change. Ryan Otten's into the pits. That's allowed Bago Krobler to get by. So Ryan Otten's dropping further down the field and needs to get out ahead of Ethan Lacuna as quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As we move back to this little battle with Grant Sebastian and Dean Cabasa, these two have been at it for a while, and they're absolutely not letting up. Passing, is done sometimes more than once a lap, Stephen, then they swap positions. They taking turns of who's going to follow the leader.
I think at this point it's running out of time. They're running out of time. There's no time to play around. And talking about running out of time, we're going to be handing out our final prize. And this is for our MTN giveaway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, absolutely amazing giveaway. Once again, extremely jealous. But it is all brought to you by MTN. And big thank you to them. Without having the likes of MTN, Mental State and RaceFace, this championship would not be what it is. It would not be around. And you would not be fighting with a massive prize pool on hand. And the winner of the final prize goes to DR38, going and getting it, saying my time was at 2:25. Very respectable time. Very respectable time, I think.
Might be DR3B.
DR3B. Could be that. Yep. Congratulations, you have won that MTN prize. And going and saying, you set a respectable time of 2:25. Good on you, mate.
On a controller.
On a controller, even as well.
Yeah.
So there we go. There we go. Congratulations, and the prize is given away tonight. Brought to you by MTN. Big thank you. Big shout out to MTN jumping on board and making this all a possible running, and it's been a phenomenal season. Want to jump back though. Ryan Otten's first of the guys who have completed all the pit stops. Morgan McCall in the pits. Jason McGregor in the pits. Bernard Barkhuizen still out. Cody Sherritt still out. What's happening here, folks? Are we seeing Morgan McCall and Jason McGregor figuring out a plan that maybe, just maybe, can pull them through the field? Is it going to be such a wild idea that they're going to undercut Cody Sherritt? Or is it going to be a situation of just missing out?
Well, they have to pull out a monumental undercut if I look at the gaps at this stage. So I don't know, Stephen. With 17 minutes to go at this stage, and I don't want to jinx it, Cody is sitting pretty comfortably there in the front. Not that I think he's by any means comfortable at this stage. He's most probably getting a bit hot and sweaty at the moment.
Yeah, you don't want to put that commentator's curse out on anyone. Hey, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Okay, so I withdraw my previous statement.
Well, taking a look at the moment, you can see the two teammates, Dean Cabasa and Nkube, have finally been reunited. Ladies and gentlemen, they've been reunited. After so long, they were parted ways. They're finally back together and going and battling their way around the circuit. They've also completed all their pit stops, so it is all out a flat-out race. And the two teammates have to try and duke it out 4 points against one another. Why not just add that out there? Because we're all friends. Until there's prizes on the line here. There's bragging rights, 2022. You want to finish ahead of your teammate.
Can I just throw out something?
Go ahead.
Dean Cabasa currently 10th in the championship, and Nkube 11th.
So, you want to get one up. Cody Sherritt into the pits though. Cody's into the pits. Now, the question is, where is the likes of Ryan Otten's? Ryan Otten's making his way through. This is going to be close. If we take a look on the map, there's Ryan Otten's, the red dot. Okay, 164. Cody Sherritt is in the pits. There's quite a gap, but we know how long this pit lane is. Is it going to be close enough for the likes of Cody Sherritt to maintain his position ahead of Ryan Otten, who has completed all his stops, who just needs to race? That's all he needs to do, is put his foot down and go. It is going to be monumental. It is going to be a hard fight, and it's going to be a absolute charge
Cody
at this
got
point.
going. Cody
Cody's
just
going.
got going, but he's still got some way to go.
And here comes Ryan Ottens, now making his way out through the pits. Cody just exiting the top of the hill ahead of Ryan Ottens. Ryan trying to close down on him as quick as possible, but I don't think he's got enough time to do it. It's going to be close. It's going to be close, but I think at the moment Cody Sherritt might have pulled out the big move that could go and secure valuable points needed for the championship. And if we talk about Morgan, he's in 6th at the moment. Cody is up. His main rival is a little bit further down in the points. It's going to be close. You want to talk about biting your nails. You want to talk about moments that it's going to be talked about throughout 2022. It's come down to this. The final round of the Grid Championship Series, brought to you by Metal State, RaceFace, and powered by MTN. My mind is going wild right now because I cannot believe it's come to this. The final race, the championship, so close between everyone. Whether you're up at the top or down below, you have a chance to go and stamp your name in history, create a legacy, and go and finish up on a high for 2022 in the Grid Championship Series. I mean, this is where you want to go. This is where it's going to be. It's honestly going to be a tough one, and it's going to be making me rewatch the stuff on YouTube. That's where I'm going to need some great data packages, which MTN, everyone needs a win. And they've got some great prizes. Head over to the MTN site and go and take a look at their affordable rates, their amazing deals. And if you're an Android lover, take a look. We've got the Samsung Galaxy that's also in one of their packages, if you don't like those pesky Apple.
Oh, but we still have, just under 13 minutes to go before we can hop on the internet and go and check out all the deals. Steven, you said your mind's going wild. I'm kind of at a blank here. We're sitting with 12 and a half minutes to go. Bernard Barkhuis and Bago Grobler, they still need to make their final pit stop.
Bago's in the pits. Bago's in the pits, so the only one that's going to need it is this man in first place, who honestly has been fighting his heart out tonight. He's got to make one pit stop.
Where are they going to filter back in? That's the question.
Well, Cody Sherritt at the moment is a little...
47 seconds.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind. It's going to be tight. That's all I could say. It is going to be a spectacular one, and the guys are going to be slugging it out till the end. It is just going to be a monumental race down to the wire. I don't know. It's going to be amazing, but whoever crosses the line in first place, knowing that you've crossed the line in first place at Spa for the final round of the Grid Championship Series, no matter what happens, you have maximized the points and you have earned the bragging rights to say that you won the final race. That is one thing. But when you start looking at the championship, well, that's a bit close at this point. It's all on the line. It has got everyone around the whole of South Africa. No, let me get this right. Africa. No, I'm even wrong. Around the world watching, going and saying, what's going to happen when the championship gets won by the drivers? And it's still so open. It is still so close, because going into it, as you said, there's 5 points.
It's... yeah, I'm not going to call it. I'm going to wait for the official championship standings to come out. But at this stage, we've got Bernard Barkhuis, which is 47 seconds in front of Cody Sherritt. Stephen, you mentioned earlier that it takes roughly about almost 70 seconds to complete a pit stop, so I don't think that 47 seconds is enough. I even think Ryan Ottens has got a little bit of a chance to get in front of Bernard Barkhuizen once he decides to pit. But hey, can be wrong. I've been wrong numerous times before, but that will have to remain to be seen.
It's going to be a proper challenge at this point, and I know everyone is standing at the edge of their seats waiting to see it, and I know these drivers at the moment are going through intense heat all around Africa. South Africa. It's extremely humid, whether you're down at the coast or you're up here, right up towards Johannesburg and Pretoria. It is extremely hot, and these drivers are just racing their heart out, as they've done all season long. It has been such an incredible time. And you know what? I think anyone that participated in this championship, from our Pro Tier to our Pro-Am, our Am, our Gold, our Silver, right through, the guys are gonna be extremely proud that they managed to stamp their legacy and go and give it everything they got, right down to the wire, heart and soul, to go for a championship with a massive prize pool to it, and going and stretching their legs in the sim racing world. Honestly, you can be at the back of the field and you can hold your head up with pride, because you did it. You made the effort and you went and got there on the grid.
Absolutely. I think, a lot of people don't realize how much commitment it takes to race at this level. I mean, these guys put in hours and hours and hours worth of practice a week, thousands of laps over the course of an 8-race season. They don't take this very lightly, Stephen. They really put in the hard work. As you see.
Yeah, Ethan Lacuna so close to Morgan McCall there. So Morgan having to check his mirrors. Bernard Barkhuizen into the pits. Cody Sherritt moving up, and I always like getting the inside line on things, and I've just got an inside line on these two over here, Dean Kabasa and Nkube. Do you know what the inside line is on it?
No.
Okay, the inside line is go, 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 give it everything you got, and whoever wins between the team buys the drinks. So, boys, send it.
Whoever wins buys the drinks.
There we go.
So, so does that mean there is a prize for second place?
They are going and giving it everything they got, because, it's going to be an interesting one, considering that's on the line there. Just saying. Yeah, they've been told to go, and we've got direct comms to their crew chief, who's sitting back looking pretty, and the only thing he's requested is, please do not scratch the paint, because we spent a lot of time on it.
But I'm looking at the timing sheets. I mean, Nkube is 1.3 seconds behind Dean Kabasa, and they are, not that far behind Grant Sebastian.
That's it. And also take a look here. Ryan Ottens right up to the back of Bernard Barkhuizen, who exited the pits. Jason McGregor in the Honda NSX also looking to get involved in the fight. So the two Hybrid Academy cars now chasing down the KSR car. Cody Sherritt has stretched the gap to 20 seconds at this point. Morgan McCall is in 5th place. 5th place. That's not going to help his points. Ryan Otten's trying to go around the outside, and you can see no love lost between the two Aston Martins. More than happy to go and share wheel arch. Oh no! Jason McGregor just getting the tail out and unfortunately collecting the wall at an enormous rate. Ow! Ow!
I don't think that's in one piece anymore.
I think that's slightly scratched. Possibly slightly scratched, but what's scratching right at the moment is these two slugging it out, not giving an inch. Bernard Barkhuizen, Ryan Ottens, and they are really going hammer and tongs at each other with the final 5 minutes and 33 seconds, well 30 seconds of this race of the Grid Championship series, brought to you by Metal State, brought to you by RaceFace, and fueled by MTN. I'm just going to put that, fueled by MTN. It is a phenomenal stuff at the moment. It is exciting, and considering they're duking it out for second place and some valuable championship points to try and push themselves further up the championship to try go for the prize. Knowing this is the final round of the Grid Championship Series, the final 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Oh man, just saying that brings a tear to my eye because I can't believe it. It's just flown by, much like the lap times that these guys are setting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a battle for 4th and 5th place currently in the championship. But Stephen, I'm just going to throw that out there. Bernard Barkhuizen is on 213 points. Daniel Rowe is not racing tonight. He's also on 213 points.
And that's where he's going to stay by the sounds of it. And Bernard Barkhuizen's going to be getting ahead of Daniel Rowe.
Absolutely. So Bernard is actually in a fight for 3rd and 4th in the championship with the likes of Ryan Ottens.
Well, that just changes it up. So if anyone has comms, well, we just heard Jim also mentioning that our leader is this man over here. It's going to be on his last lap of the race, which means 2nd and third in the championship is down to this. It's down to the wire. Man, oh man, life has just gotten very interesting in the Aston Martins, and I'm sure that they are going and talking back. So, it's going to be a tight one, but at the moment, it does look like Cody has got the championship. Morgan is just slightly out. He's sitting in 4th place. He needs to try and move a little bit up. He needs to catch up to the likes of Ryan Otters, but he's being hunted down by Ethan Lacuna, and he's got his teammate Christian Deploy trying to give a little bit of backup, but it's now down into the final minutes of the race. Is that backup going to help? This is where the question comes in as we head back up to 2nd place. Ryan Ottens, Bernard Barkhuizen not giving the inch, fighting their way through, hoping to claw their way around and battle it out. It is going to be a monumental fight to go and sort out the championship. Ethan Lacuna trying to go on the inside of Morgan. You can see Christian Deploy actually giving a little bit of help, and Christian just diving up on the inside, giving Ethan no option there. Ethan still not giving up. He's going to take the fight to the ATK drivers. Christian Deploy going, listen Morgan, I'm going to give you a hand here. You need to push, but this guy is going to keep me busy. Another battle to keep an eye on. Nkube and Kabasa are slugging it out at one another. It is turning into their own fight. The team is just having a great one. But this man over here, Cody Sherritt, I'm going to say, is looking like he's going to win the championship. At the moment, he's just ahead.
So are you the commentator's curse guy now, or what are you?
Well, commentator's curse or not, he's a man coming up to bus stop at the moment. He's putting in the effort. He's really doing what he can, and honestly, this is gonna be the final lap for him. Possibly gonna be
one more lap to go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Jim going and telling us leader is on the final lap. Big thank you to Jim. Jim's been working hard. Talks to all the drivers, whether you're in a race or not in a race. Thanks, Jim.
Now, the one thing I wanted to say is, all of a sudden in the last minutes, this race has come alive. I mean, Christian Deploy does not exactly look like he wants to sit behind Morgan McCall.
Well, we know that there's one team that's not running to team orders. Well, it looks like another team is going to be doing the same. They're not going to run to team orders. The ATK drivers battling it out. And you've got to realize that Ethan is looking very fighting behind the two Mercedes. And slugging out. These two, though, Dean Kabasa and Nkube, side by side, slugging it out. Really putting in a grand effort around the outside. Nkube just getting ahead of Dean Kabasa. Dean having no option in that battle. And take a look, Ethan now in the toe to Christian deploy. Morgan McCall getting caught out. He goes to the inside, trying to defend, knowing what's happening. Christian lining up side by side with him and looking to get the jump. Goes around the outside, but just can't make it stick. Ethan looking to get into the fight. Now remember, Christian also needs points. He needs points here. Morgan is just not in the situation to be able to fight in this. He is now towing the guys around. It is turning into a monumental effort by the drivers, and it's going to be an amazing one. But making his way through and nearing the end of the race is going to be Cody Sherrod, and what a phenomenal drive from him. Didn't think he was going to get into that first place, but proved me wrong, and looks like he's going to be winning the championship. Morgan McCall, though, who's really tried his heart out to go for the championship, unfortunately now having his own teammate challenging him. Andre Serradio chasing down Grant Sebastian. Everyone knows this is it. This is the time. This is where it's going to be overs cadovers. But making his way through bus stop, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, with great excitement and great joy, take a look at Cody Sherrod, and going to be our champion of the Grid Championship Series, brought to you by Middle State, RaceFace, and fueled by MTN. What a way to go. Second place.
For donuts.
Second place, just getting it. Ryan Otten's ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen. That is also going to decide their fates in the championship. Bernard Barkhuizen taking third place. And fourth place going to be Morgan McCall ahead of Christian Deploy. Ethan Lakuda in 6th. 7th place is looking like it's going to be Bago Krobler. Jason McGregor in 8th place. 9th place is going to be Grant Sebastian if he can keep ahead of Andre Serradio. Tinian Kube, though, is challenging. He's fighting. He's going for it. His teammate is chasing him down for that 11th place. Dean Kabasa currently in 12th place and is hoping to go for a final dive on his teammate. Is this going to be enough? It is team orders, ladies and gentlemen. It is literally Vettel getting told he cannot fight when he was in Red Bull, and did it anyway. Yep, that's it. Multi-21. And so close. It looks like Nkube just ahead of Dean Kabasa as they come across the line. Justin Lotus, though, scoring a penalty right at the end. That's going to hurt as we wait. Bernard King going to be finishing up in 14th place. Maybe jumping a little bit higher from that. And De Villiers in 15th place. And Kurt Kloshkin going and having a great time as well. Couple of retirements we've seen in the race, unfortunately. But what a race it has been. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, can you believe it, concludes our final race of the season. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. And it does look like Cody Sherrod has won the championship. So congratulations to Cody on the spectacular race. Janneman, it's done. It's over. We have seen the best of the best slug it out for last of 2022 in the Grid Championship Series. Brought to you by Mental State, RaceFace, and MTN. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible. So a big thank you to our sponsors and all the guys working hard behind the scenes to make this all happen. From going and setting up the marketing, from going and doing the admin work, even going and bringing the sandwiches into the office. Congratulations. Big thank you to it. Janneman, your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, Stephen. You know, it's been 8 races. It's been 8 weeks, but it flew by. I mean, it felt like yesterday we were still talking about round 1 and guys sussing out the competition and who they're racing, who's going to be their main competition, and now it's done. Absolutely awesome.
I cannot believe it, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, honestly, it has been a phenomenal time. It has been a lot of fun throughout the season. It has been exciting through all the highs and lows, all the thrills and spills. I've got to say a big thank you to you guys, the teams, the drivers, and especially the spectators for inviting us into your homes, allowing us to grab a glass of cool drink, sit down with you, and shout in your ear about the amazing racing that's happening out on circuit. It has been phenomenal. But from myself, Stephen Koenig, the world's fastest back marker, and also our world's slowest alien, Janneman, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen,
everyone.
Good night. Have a good one. And we'll see you next time. Enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your New Year's. And remember, stay safe. Have fun. Keep an eye on the specials on the MTN site. And we'll see you next time right here for the Grid Championship Series